Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Elmhurst City Council for Monday, October 6, 2025, and ask that you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to be looking way along.
Thank you. Clerk Malone, would you call the roll, please?
Nardini.
Here.
Bastido.
Here.
Irby.
Here.
Brennan.
Here.
Marimas, absent. Bellinger.
Here.
Chanko.
Here.
Hill.
Present.
Graham.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
Toludo, absent. Baker.
Here.
Nudira.
Here.
Virgil.
Here.
12 present, 2 absent.
12 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum. We move on to item 3 on our agenda, which is the Cottage Hill Cup presentation. Director David Oberg from our museum. Yeah. Is he going to come back? Yeah.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure and privilege to present to the Elmhurst City Council this year's Cottage Hill Cup. For those who did not make it for the annual Town versus Gown game, it was really a pretty decisive win for the city of Elmhurst. For a while, when we looked at this trophy, it said Elmhurst College, then Elmhurst University, Elmhurst University. It seemed like a foregone conclusion. The city eked out a pretty narrow win a couple of years ago. The university came back and beat them last year, and it was a decisive win this year by the city team. Some of you here tonight played a decisive role in that game, and so it is my pleasure to present to the city of Elmhurst the Cottage Hill Cup.
What was the score, David? I just can't remember.
The score was 27-19.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah.
Huzzah.
Huzzah, yeah.
27
Approach.
points. It's a football score.
Are there any cards on the inside?
I played just yours.
Thank you. When we lost the cup at the end of last year, I put a little card in here that when I gave it to President Van Aken, said to be returned in June 2025, and he didn't even see it till he delivered the cup back to me. So. But here it is. Come by and see it in my office. All right, thank you very much. And also, Director Oberg, if you haven't been at the game, he runs a wonderful event and something I enjoy going to every year. All right, item 3, receipt of written communications from the public. Is there anyone who has a written communication that he or she would like to deliver to the council? If so, please raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll move on to public forum. Clerk Malone, has anyone signed in for public forum? All right. For public forum, you have 3 minutes to speak on any topic you choose. Please state your name. Address is optional. Will help us get back to you if necessary. We'll use the back microphone, and we'll let you know when you get towards the end of your 3 minutes. Clerk Malone?
We have Mandy Pachowski. I might have.
Pachowski? All right. And you can adjust the microphone as you need.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Mandy Pachowski. I am a 14-year resident of Elmhurst. I'm here tonight to speak not only about what's happening across our country, but what's happening right here in our own community. As many of you know, an Elmhurst business owner was detained nearly 2 weeks ago and remains in ICE custody. This is someone who has operated a long-standing business in Elmhurst, contributing to our local economy and community for years. Now that business may be forced to close permanently. This person, who is married to a U.S. citizen and was going through the immigration process the right way. Just last Wednesday, I personally witnessed 26 armed ICE agents surround an apartment complex on the north side to apprehend one single person. 26 agents. That level of force was unnecessary and intended to intimidate. They didn't even detain the individual they were looking for. Instead, they took an 18-year-old young person. Right now, families in our community are living in fear. Some are afraid to leave their homes. People are carrying passports with them out of fear of being racially profiled and detained. Protesters are being unlawfully held. Local food pantries are seeing fewer families come for help because residents are terrified to go out. People don't know what to do if approached by masked individuals who refuse to identify themselves or who they can trust. This is about more than immigration. It's about public health, community trust, and safety for everyone who calls Elmhurst home. This isn't happening somewhere else. It's happening here, and we need to know that our city government is acting proactively. We need a clear public plan for how Elmhurst is going to keep residents safe, protect civil rights, and maintain trust in law enforcement and local leadership. At any moment, federal or state agencies could escalate their presence. Without a coordinated plan in place, innocent people could be harmed. I'm asking this council to take action to work with community leaders, schools, and local organizations to ensure every resident knows their rights, knows where to turn for help, and can feel safe in their own neighborhood. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to the safety and dignity of all Elmhurst residents.
Thank you. All right. That is the only individual who signed up to make public comment this evening. Is there anyone who would like to make comment that did not have an opportunity to sign in? If so, please raise your hand. All right, thank you then. We will close public comment. Announcements. Are there any announcements from the dais? All right, seeing none, I will ask Clerk Malone, please read the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, minutes of the regular meeting of the Elmhurst City Council on September 15th, 2025. Item 6.2, executive session minutes of the regular meeting of the Elmhurst City Council on May 15th, 2023. Accounts payable October 6th, 2025. $4,333,504.35. Item 6.4, report 25 ZBA 10 setback variations 107 North York. Item 6.5, report Elmhurst Building Code Amendment fire pump generator requirements. Item 6.6, report 25 P05 plat of subdivision 321 through 321 and 325 West Lake Street, frontage. Report 6.7, update of liquor license fees. Item 6.8, report 2025 Dan Gibbons Turkey Trot. Item 6.9, report referral stop sign placement at northbound Euclid Avenue and McKinley Avenue. Item 6.10, report police station architectural and engineering services contract. Item 6.11, report right-of-way vacation request Crockett Avenue. Item 6.12, report North Graw Woods stormwater improvements design engineering services. Item 6.13, report 2026 sanitary sewer and manhole rehabilitation project design engineering services. Item 6.14, ZO16 2025, an ordinance granting certain variations at the property commonly known as 305 North Kenilworth Avenue, Elmhurst, Illinois. Item 6.15, ZO17 2025, an ordinance granting variations from the minimum lot area and minimum lot width requirements for the property commonly known as 219 East St. Charles Road, Elmhurst, Illinois. Item 6.16, MCO 12, 2025, an ordinance to amend Section 11.04 entitled Collection of Transfer Tax and Section 11.07 entitled Exemption Transactions of Chapter 11 entitled Real Estate Transfer Tax of the Elmhurst Municipal Code. Item 6.17, R86, 2025, a resolution approving an Elmhurst improvement and renovation business grantor LC's Diner located at 544 West Lake Street. Item 6.18, R87, 2025, a resolution approving the updated and amended City of Elmhurst Employee Handbook. Item 6.19, R88, 2025, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement between the City of Elmhurst and Kenneth Lindgren O'Hara Boone, Inc. for the Neighborhood Traffic Study Area 8. Item 6.20, R89, 2025, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of the Rider 7 water main replacement agreement with Nicor Gas Company. Item 6.21, R90, 2025, a resolution approving and authorizing the creation of an internal service central fleet fund. Item 6.22, R91, 2025, a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract for cybersecurity services with Arctic Wolf Networks, Inc.
Thank you, Clerk Malone. Is there any item on the consent agenda that any alderman would like to remove, either for the purpose of voting against or for further discussion? Alderman Virgil.
6.2 and 6.9.
6.2, 6.9. Is there someone else?
Oh, 6.9.
Okay. All right. Alderman Irby.
Thank you, Mayor. 6.7.
6.7. Anyone else? All right. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda minus items 6.2, 6.7, and 6.9? Alderman Nardini with a motion. Alderman Virgil with a second. Clerk Malone.
Nardini.
Aye.
Pacito.
Aye.
Irby.
Aye.
Brennan.
Aye.
Marimas, absent. Bellinger.
Aye.
Shanko.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Bram.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Saludo, absent. Baker.
Aye.
Nudira.
Aye.
Virgil.
Aye.
12 ayes, 2 absent.
All right. 12 aye, 0 nay, 2 absent. The consent agenda is adopted minus 6.2, 6.7, and 6.9. Before we go on, Alderman Virgil, can you maybe be a little out of order? What's the nature of your objection to 6.2?
It was before, it's 2.5 years ago, so it was before I was on the council.
Oh, okay,
so-
very good. Can I have a motion then to approve 6.2? Alderman Jensen with the motion, Alderman Nudero with a second. Do you have anything to say on the motion, Alderman Jensen?
I defer to the alderman that just spoke.
All right.
Like I said, I was just pulling it because I wasn't on council at the time, so I pulled it just to vote present.
All right. Anyone else? Alderman Baker?
Same concern. So.
Very good. All right, any other discussion? Clerk Malone, call the roll.
Nardini.
Aye.
Pacito.
Aye.
Irby.
Aye.
Brennan.
Aye.
Marimas, absent. Bellinger.
Present.
Shanko.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Bram.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Saludo, absent. Baker. Nudira.
Aye.
Virgil.
Present.
At 9 ayes, 3 present, and 2 absent.
We have 3 present?
3 present.
Yeah,
Yes.
all right. 9 ayes, 0 nays, 3 present, and 2 absent, all right. All right, 6.2 passes. 6.7, Clerk Malone, please read the report.
Report update of liquor license fees.
Thank you. May I have a motion to put 6.7 before the council for approval? Alderman Brennan with the motion, Alderman Schenkel with the second. Alderman Brennan?
Thank you, Mayor. So for some, this may feel like deja vu. The PA&S committee reviewed our liquor license framework last year, or prior to, with the purpose of simplifying it. It was very sizable in number, complex to administer, et cetera. So at that time, staff did a great job simplifying the framework, and as we're going through that process, the initial pass, the annual fees generated from the new network was approximately $60,000 lower than the fees generated from the legacy framework. The committee, collectively agreed that our objective of reviewing the framework was to simplify it and not to reduce fees. So we went back and figured out how we could make the fees roughly unchanged in the new framework. So we met that objective. Hindsight being 2020, I wish we would have incorporated a market analysis into our decision matrix. Because if we fast forward to today, the mayor, the city manager submitted a referral asking us to go back and revisit the liquor license. The primary drivers for this, there are really three drivers. The first driver is 7 business owners have dropped their license due to cost. And I'm not going to name them, but 2 of these businesses, unfortunately, have subsequently gone out of business as well. The second reason is 3 business owners have requested payment plans as a result of the cost of the license. One of those businesses have subsequently gone out of business. So the third driver was for the referral is local business owners have approached and raised concern, approached the mayor and the city and raised concerns regarding their post-COVID business model and in some cases the viability of it. The facts that as we sat down, we started to look at this, the fact of the matter is business expenses have gone up for our local businesses since COVID. Rents increase, insurance increase, other benefits, employee costs have increased, food costs have increased, a number of increases have applied across their business model. And as they look at their total costs, Elmhurst liquor license fees are significantly higher than the surrounding communities. So that's factual. I mean, we found that to be fact. This was an inadvertent outcome of us applying a CPI increase on an annualized basis, while other communities did not. They either have a policy of reviewing every 3 years or 5 years. So, and then the last fact, quite honestly, we can't ignore the fact that 7 businesses have dropped their liquor license and 3 have asked to be put on a payment plan, and 3 businesses have gone out of business. So the bottom line, all our local businesses who need a liquor license to maximize their success, I think should be able to obtain a license at a fair price. Right now, Elmhurst liquor license, as I stated earlier, has outpaced the surrounding communities. The city will collect more in food and beverage tax if all relevant businesses have liquor licenses and are selling, beverages and drinks of that nature and are flourishing in their business model. The committee looked at all this. Staff provided a lot of information to us, and we unanimously support the fee reductions in the report before you. There is a projected shortfall in 2026 liquor license fees totaling $87,000. However, I would argue that the revenue benefit to the city is not in the liquor license fees. It's in the food and beverage tax revenue generated from the successful businesses in our community. If you want our downtown to continue to flourish, it's important for the city to provide fair liquor license framework and to partner with our local businesses. I think that lays out success for the business, lays out success for our residents as well as the community as a whole. So in the report, we also have, we eliminated the CPI increase with the prior framework, but we do believe that a 3-year review of our framework is appropriate, and that's in the report. I think this is a good opportunity to just push the restart button. I don't think we intended for the fees to get as far out of line as they did. And so we've taken, corrective action with the prior report, simplifying the framework in this report where we're suggesting a reduction in the fees. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. Alderman Irby, did you want to speak?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Chair. I appreciate the comments, and I know the group looked at it very well. The report, I know you guys looked at it the year prior, did quite a consolidation of the classes. When you look at the total revenue over the last 10 years or so on the liquor license, we've been kind of, I would guess, a post-COVID depression in there. Obviously, nobody was buying alcohol during that period, or extremely limited. So this round, we're coming back within a year cycle. I think the key word there is we're coming back to look at it properly in a year. And that review that you came into this session with will be eliminated with a 3-year review cycle. So I'm not sure why we're writing that in the report to go a 3-year cycle, because that's what made this cycle available, was to stick with our current ordinance that has had a long-term standing with a 1-year review cycle. Doesn't mean we have to, just means we have that capability to elect. I do not like to give up power on council of long-standing tradition to going through a 3-year cycle. On the rates themselves, I think we can negotiate like we are now with the holders of the license who are wanting a negotiated payment plan. I think we can get creative there to go across the board at a fixed rate and reduce everybody or reduce sizably. To me, seems like with prices increasing, drink prices going up, it's a key part of Elmhurst. Our identity is we are a liquor town. And I use that as a positive comment, not a negative. The first building in town was a union hall on St. Charles before there was a Cottage Hill. It was a bar. And we have, I think, one of the highest per capita liquor outlets in DuPage here. So I don't think the location, so when we say, okay, well, all our other jurisdictions around us have lower rates, we are kind of like the Las Vegas of alcohol, and we should be proud of that. I don't have a problem with that. So I would like to continue with our current rates. I do not want to give any power up on council going to a 3-year cycle. I'd like to have the election to look at it annually if we so desire. And so for those two key reasons, I will be voting no for this. Thank you.
All right, I usually don't speak, but I wear 2 hats. I'm the liquor commissioner. The request from last year to look at the structures was at my initiative, and I worked with Heather Barekas to design it because we were at 27 classes. I couldn't even name them all. So I'm proud that we got to 4 with some adjustments to various classes. And I actually wanted to adjust the rates when we did it last year. I don't get a vote. The committee didn't want to look at it, a revenue hit in those years. I was approached by a couple of license holders, and I'm the one that the businesses would come to and talk about why they're dropping or the need for a payment plan. So first of all, you're the only guy I know who was drinking less during the pandemic. I don't know when they woke you up. Anyway, it wasn't said in a 1-year review. The way the old ordinance was, it was automatically going up by the consumer price index. And when that was passed, it seemed logical, but then there were some years when there were some rather large price increases, and that's how we got out of whack, and that's why I wanted to look at the fees again. I wasn't a proponent of the 3-year review, but I look at it not as, and I personally don't think it's necessary. I fully support the report. It doesn't mean you can't look at it after 1 year. It just means you're supposed to look at it every 3 years at a minimum. So it doesn't really take any power away from us. A lot of people think that every business in town is just, if you're downtown, you're raking it in. And I have a few businesses, a couple have, well, naming no names, but they're, you know, they make a living. Some businesses, and you can picture them yourselves, are making a killing. Others aren't. And, you know, a $5,500 hit for a liquor license is a substantial cost to some of them. And it's no, I think the owner of Tandon said he had to sell, like, I don't know how many hundreds of bottles of wine to cover that nut. But to me, I'm not looking at ways to cut our revenues, but I think it's important to be fair. We're not the only game in town. I travel around and I like to see what's happening in other municipalities. I happened to wind up in Wheaton on Saturday night. I'd say they're doing okay. They're probably doing everything that we're doing, and their liquor license is substantially less than ours. So I think we're not trying to give anything away. I think we owe it to our businesses to be fair. And I think this committee has done the work to show that this is fair. We can review it every 6 months if you want. If there's some reason, it doesn't take any power away. As the chair said, it resets to where we're supposed to be on something that was an unintended consequence of having the automatic renewal. So I hope you will support this. I think it's good work from the committee, and it's the right result. Alderman Bram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few things. I appreciate the committee's work on this, not only this time, but the time prior in regards to consolidating of licenses, because yes, it literally got out of hand. And no fault to anybody, but we tried to be as friendly to businesses as possible and continue to create licenses to best fit each of those type of businesses. With that said, however, I do have some concerns of the message that this sends of going back and lowering fees for, in this case, the liquor license, which obviously is focused on businesses. But we have residents who have concerns over various fees that we're charging that we've increased, right? Water rates is one obvious one. You know, some of the things that have been mentioned is cost increases for the businesses. All of us sitting here have witnessed and taken on those cost increases, if it's water rates, if it's electricity or gas, et cetera. So I think I can personally relate that, yes, there's cost increases, but there's cost increases everything. I don't know if the liquor license fees, even if we're number one or in the top of the cost of a liquor license, is really the impact of, is a business leaving the city of Elmhurst. An example, we have two brand new businesses, well, relatively brand new, that both have liquor license within town in, I don't know, the last few weeks or so. And they seem initially to be doing okay, but they came to town, they knew what the liquor license fees were, and they started their business here in town, even though, maybe they didn't know, but even though that our liquor license fees are what they are. I do feel bad in regards to the 10 that's mentioned in the report, if they're on a payment plan or if they left or did not renew their liquor license. I do relate to that. I do understand that. But I'm sitting on the fence here because I don't know if this is the message that I personally want to send of, well, businesses are having a challenge or having concerns over the fees, but is that what we as a city need to do? Because our costs don't go down as a city staff, city employees, their costs, right, their salaries, their benefits, all that's going up. So are we out of base of what the liquor license fees should be? Well, if you compare to the ones that were a part of the committee's report and committee's review, I would say, yes, we're on the high end, if not the top. But I don't know how I'm going to vote on this, to be honest with you. I just have concern over the message, and is this really the end-all, be-all if a business comes to Elmhurst, stays in Elmhurst, has a liquor license, or does not.
Alderman Brennan.
Thank you. Thank you, well, I shouldn't address Alderman Bram directly. Sorry about that. But thank you. I appreciate your comments. So I think, as I looked at this as the chair of the committee, I think one of the things that Elmhurst has going for it is just a great vibe downtown. And that's something that you can't, really measure from a revenue perspective, but people, friends of mine from all over the western suburbs tell me how cool our town is. And so I think that's very nice, but it just makes you feel good. At the end of the day, that vibe, that successful commerce downtown, it does expand the tax base. I mean, it brings in revenues that otherwise wouldn't be there. There are communities that are doing very well. I think about Arlington Heights. I think about Naperville. Their fees for their license are way lower than ours. And at the end of the day, they're just the vibe of their community is very similar to Elmhurst. Now, my concern of businesses trying to run their business without a license, I just think that's sort of trying to run a business with your arm tied behind your back. And will any of these businesses renew their, get a new license with the reduction? I don't know that for a fact, but I would hope so, because I know if there's a business similarly, that's providing a service or food that has liquor and one that doesn't, I know where I'm going because I want to have a beer, with my food. So it's not a fair fight. So hopefully, the ones that have dropped it will reinstate it. But my last comment is that we couldn't get our finger on this data because I don't know if it even exists. There's a cost to enter a market. Any market, it may be very expensive equipment. In some cases, if you're opening a restaurant or a bar, it's a liquor license. We'll never know, those potential businesses that go somewhere else because they just looked and said, hey, you know what? These guys are just priced out of their mind. The rents are higher in the storefronts here, et cetera. So I agree with the mayor that this is simply pushing the reset button and reeling back something that I don't think we intended to do with this program. Thank you.
All right. Alderman Bastido, then Alderman Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. I do think that, if residents come to us because fees are too high, we do review it. Recently, our Public Works Committee reviewed cost sharing. And I think that's exactly what happened here. Is businesses came, said that these fees were too high. I think we should do everything we can to support the businesses. As some aldermen have said, it is what makes Elmhurst. So I appreciate that the referral was put in and that the committee looked at this, and I completely support lowering fees and doing what we can to help our businesses.
Thank you. Alderman Hill.
Thank you. Thinking about this, I'd be a lot more supportive if I wasn't aware that some of the businesses that have liquor licenses pass on fees to the residents in the form of I'm not talking about credit card fees here, I'm talking about fees that if they're noticed on the menu and they have to be disclosed, can be asked to be removed from a menu, such as a market sustainability fee or a market competitiveness fee. And I understand where businesses have concerns about costs, but it upsets me that they pass those costs along to the residents in ways that I think are not totally obvious. I know I've paid those fees without noticing it until after the fact on the bill, and maybe I'm just slow to catch on. But thinking about it, I do think there's a point that I wish these businesses would not pass on those costs to the residents, and yet here we are being sensitive to the costs that we're asking them to pay for liquor fees. So I'm not sure how I land on it, but it doesn't sit well with me. That's it.
I'll appeal to Alderman Irby. That's you.
I appreciate the great discussion on this tonight, and I agree with everybody's point. I think where I feel uncomfortable with this is a comfort that's reversing, because I know our mayor, like the mayor said, he's the liquor czar. He takes care of that. I have great trust that when we did it a year ago, that was the mayor's, I thought that was the mayor's hand doing the consolidation of the liquor. I thought it was well thought out. I thought it was well planned, and I voted yes, and I thought we were solid on that. And for us to come back a year later and look at it again and decide we got it wrong or we need to tweak it better, I agree with that. If we have 10 people or 6 people, whatever number, if it's only one establishment, I'm going to trust the mayor to be able to discuss it with them and have the autonomy as the mayor to handle that. Why would I want to sell the entire farm when all I need to do is have the mayor go and adjust a single parcel on the farm and take care of that single license? So to me, that seems like the better way to approach it, is let the mayor continue on with his ability to handle this and not do a blanket reduction when we need to keep our revenues up. Thank you.
I'll throw 2 additional comments, and one is, one of the differences here is we didn't sit down and deliberate to raise the fees to the point they are at. Shouldn't end in a preposition. But they went up automatically, so it was not something that we thoughtfully increased. It just happened, and that's why you're agreeing with me on the reset, but I was agreeing with you. So the other thing is, I've heard the comment of, well, we're Elmhurst, you want to come here, you come here. We could use that, we could put it in a transfer tax that would be, 30% higher than everyone else, and people would still buy homes in Elmhurst. But if you're trying to be fair, I'm not saying give them a discount. I'm just saying that our liquor license is $5,500, and most of them, we're not amongst the highest. We are the highest, and most of them are around the 4,000 range or less. And we're not going to the lowest. We're going to the high end still of all the liquor licenses. We're just not up there in the clouds. So I'm not trying to give money away. I'm not proposing that you give money away. I'm just saying this was an unintended consequence to get so out of whack because of the automatic CPI increase, and we just need to be fair to our businesses. All right, additional discussion? Call the roll.
Nardini?
Aye.
Bastido?
Aye.
Irby?
No.
Brennan?
Aye.
Barimas absent. Bellinger?
Aye.
Shanko?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Graham?
Aye.
That was very enthusiastic. Yeah, it's an aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Ludo absent. Baker?
Aye.
Nudira?
Aye.
Virgil?
Aye.
11 ayes, 2 absent, 11 ayes, 1 nay, and 2 absent.
11 ayes, 1 nay, 2 absent, and 6.7 passes. Thank you. 6.9, please read the report. Clerk Malone.
Report referral stop sign placement at northbound Euclid Avenue and McKinley Avenue.
I have a motion to bring 6.9 for approval before the council. Motion by Alderman Brennan, second by Alderman Shanko. Alderman Brennan.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So this report was a referral from Alderman Virgil and Alderman Nudera. And it's related to a stop sign at McKinley and Euclid. It was part of one of our neighborhood traffic studies. And, the referral asked the committee to take a look at The stop sign, it was felt it was sort of awkward as right, at a driveway, and it just didn't feel right. We actually deliberated on this quite a bit. There was a lot of discussion with the neighbors and understanding what their concerns were. And as the report details out, there were at least 4 or 5 alternatives that we looked at. A couple of them just weren't viable. One was to move the stop signs that on the north and south, going north-south on Euclid down to Cayuga. That just wasn't going to work for a lot of reasons. That corner is actually more problematic than the corner that it's on, not to mention that based on an expert consultant's recommendation, they feel the stop sign should be at McKinley and Euclid, not Cayuga and Euclid. But just physically getting that done, it wasn't going to work. We discussed taking the stop signs out, and at that point, some residents were against that, some were for it. And so now we have, I don't know if it was 50-50, we'll never know that, but at the end of the day, again, we bring in consultants and experts to look at these things so we don't have to have, residents going head-to-head with one another to, try to figure out what's the right thing to do. I'm not a civil engineer. I rely upon experts to advise the committee on what to do. So where we landed on this, so we looked at a whole bunch of alternatives. The alternative that we landed on was to keep it as is. That was the original recommendation. And where we landed in our last discussion in committee, and it's not highlighted in the report, but we are going to look at what are some other ways that we can make these stop signs more visible and feel a little more natural in their current position. With respect to, potentially some crosswalks or, putting in, the white lines where you're supposed to stop. It gives you a better indication, trimming back trees, to having some sort of reflective type of devices as well. So that's the gist of it, and at this point, I'll yield the floor to the 2 aldermen.
All right, open for discussion. Alderman Virgil.
All right. First off, I want to express my appreciation for the committee as they went through and deliberated on this. I do believe they looked at it thoroughly. However, I do disagree with the decision that came out of it. In this referral, we asked the committee to look at moving the stop sign at McKinley on northbound Euclid, a few houses south to the southeast corner of the intersection of Euclid and Cayuga. My main concern was safety here. In the current location, there is a potential for drivers to miss the sign because it is between a couple of driveways. It's also a few feet further away from the intersection than would be sort of the natural location for a stop sign. In fact, during a meeting nearby we had with area residents, we saw a car that was headed northbound on Euclid and went right through the intersection without stopping, didn't even slow down. Also, drivers turning right on northbound Euclid from Cayuga, where there is also currently a stop sign, would immediately encounter the stop sign at McKinley. This also could lead drivers to miss the stop sign there as well. The report mentions that the committee ruled out the configuration we requested as atypical. The reason that we requested to look at moving the stop sign was because the current configuration seemed odd and unnatural. It is because of the unusual nature of the current configuration that we wanted to move the sign. The report says that moving the sign could lead to confusion about who has the right of way. If drivers don't see the sign in the current location, that seems much more dangerous than folks coming from the other directions being confused. In any case, to eliminate this confusion at other intersections in town, which are not always stops, there's often additional signage indicating that cars from other directions do not stop. The MUTCD has standards for signage explicitly for these types of intersections. For all these reasons, I will be voting no on the report. There was some discussion in the last committee meeting where this was discussed about making other updates to make the sign more visible in the current location, such as painting a white stop strip on the pavement, as well as perhaps adding blinking lights to the sign. If we end up not moving the sign, I do hope the city does make those other updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Addition.
So can I just comment, not directly to him, but just in general? So,
Brennan.
thank you. So with respect to, one of the options that we looked at was to leave the southbound stop sign at Euclid and McKinley, the southbound, stop sign, and move the northbound stop sign down to Cayuga. And so at the end of the day, what that would promote, and the reason that we were just totally against it, was if you're going east on McKinley and turn left onto northbound Euclid, that'd be an unprotected left-hand turn. You know, we have, unfortunately, people driving all over town, now expecting to see some sort of, control device, and when they see a stop sign to the left of them, where they're turning, they're potentially going to assume there's a stop sign to the right of them. So they aren't, it wouldn't be intuitive. You have the same unprotected left-hand turn coming off Cayuga going west and turning south onto Euclid. And so, yes, could people navigate that? Certainly. They'd be breaking the law if they didn't stop or pulled in front of other traffic. But, based on, we talked to the KOLA, the experts were involved with all of these options, and this is where we landed. I think the other thing that I want to just express, we absolutely will look at the visibility concern. And lastly, we talked about moving the stop sign just a little further on the other side of the driveway. And unfortunately, similar to Cayuga and Euclid, there's all kinds of issues in the parkway to do that. There's a gas line that's right there on the other side of the driveway. So it would be a better place for that sign to go there, but it's not possible to safely put it there. So those are my comments. I appreciate the feedback.
All right, thank you. Alderman Nudera.
I would like to thank the Public Affairs and Safety Committee, along with the city's Engineering Service Division, for their time and energy on the stop sign placement at northbound Euclid and McKinley. I would also like to mention Alderman Virgil and his effort in organizing 3 meetings with the neighborhoods and hearing their concerns at the intersections along with travel on Euclid Avenue. Uniformity seems to be the theme throughout the neighborhood traffic study. The all-way stop, controlled intersection at Euclid and McKinley, and the one-way stop at Euclid and Cayuga, just 3 homes away, breaks the consistency. Placing a stop sign on northbound Euclid, south of Cayuga, and a southbound stop sign at Euclid and McKinley seems to be more consistent. Both intersections would be controlled in a 2-way fashion. Signs reading oncoming traffic does not stop could be placed underneath each stop sign at the northbound Euclid and Cayuga and southbound Euclid and McKinley. Eastbound traffic on McKinley and westbound traffic on Cayuga, southbound Euclid and McKinley, could have signs reading traffic from the right does not stop. Roadway markings such as stop bars, lines could be placed across the stop signs. Crosswalk markings painted along the pavement can also be placed to make it clear for motorists that the intersections are identifiable. Residents in this area are concerned for safety of the pedestrians crossing at both intersections. It has been said by many residents the excessive speed seems to be an issue. Although many have argued that stop signs are not designed to control speed, They do require motorists to reduce speeds as they approach the controlled intersection. Northbound traffic on Euclid is not reducing the speed to stop at 659 South Euclid until just about the intersection at Cayuga, where there is no stop sign. This contributes to confusion as the northbound motorist on Euclid that has just passed the Cayuga intersection and is now stopping 3 homes just north before the driveway at 659 South Euclid. If the conditions, such as utilities and so on, around Euclid and Cayuga are problematic, I would encourage the City Engineering Service to continue to monitor these intersections and take additional steps to better identify the intersections with crosswalks and stop bars and any other means possible. I will be voting no.
Thank you, Alderman Adair. Additional discussion? Alderman Bastido.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciated Chair Brennan's history of this intersection, but it actually goes back even further. So about a year or two ago, some aldermen were contacted by neighbors on that street who have small children. And if you ever drive through that area, you know there are a lot of families with young children out in their front yards. And they expressed that it was a dangerous intersection and they were looking for something to control speed or maybe perhaps stop signs, which while they're not intended to control speed, I think we all realize that they do have that effect. Even if people don't stop all the way, they are slowing down. And we asked them to be patient, and because we were doing these traffic studies, and they were. And the city has spent a lot of money on traffic studies, and those traffic studies said that there should be a stop sign where the stop sign is right now. That's great news. Well, then those neighbors had to wait a while longer for us to implement the traffic study and to put the stop sign there, and they were very patient. And now that the stop signs are there, I can say that the neighbors who have small children are very happy it's there. This is numerous families, 4, 5, 6 families with up to 24 kids have reached out to us and said they are very happy that stop sign is there. I appreciate that the aldermen heard from neighbors who don't like the stop sign and that they, looked into options. KLOA and our staff said there are no good options and recommend keeping the stop sign where it is. I agree with them. I appreciate that the committee reviewed it thoroughly, reviewed several options. None of those were good options. And therefore, they're recommending to keep the stop signs where they are. I hope this is the end of it. I think it would be great to bring more attention to those stop signs, but with KLOA and staff and the committee saying that stop sign should be there, I hope that it stays there. I agree with the report. I will support the report.
Thank you. All right. Ready to vote? Clerk Malone.
Nardini.
Aye.
Bastido.
Aye.
Irby.
No.
Brennan.
Aye.
Barimas absent. Bellinger.
Aye.
Chanko.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Bluto absent. Baker.
Aye.
Nudira.
No.
Virgil.
No.
9 ayes, 3 nays, and 2 absent.
9 ayes, 3 nays, 2 absent, 6.9 passes. Thank you. We're going to go on to committee reports. 7.1, Clerk Malone, please read the report.
Report contract amendment number 1 to the construction agreement for the 2024 sanitary sewer improvements and force main replacements project.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve 7.1. Alderman Bastido, and a second by Alderman Irby. Alderman Bastido.
Thank you, Mayor. So the city is relining a force main pipe on the north side. So that means it's going to take this force main down for 4 months, which means there needs to be a bypass. So the city entered into a contract that included a bypass, and after examining it, thinking about it, realized that the bypass option probably needed to be changed because there was a risk of overflow. So sanitary sewer overflow is something we really want to avoid. It's a big mess, requires reports to the EPA. So staff and our engineers recommended an alternate bypass route, which is what is represented in this report. So I think that's all I have to say about that. I defer to anyone
All right,
else.
discussion. Alderman Bram.
Thank you. I definitely understand the challenges that this bypass has currently, as well as the initial plan for the bypass. So the initial, as the chair said, essentially went to a gravity sewer, and there's concerns with redirecting that flow into the sanitary gravity sewer of that discharging and then causing obviously other issues, and having sanitary waste outside of the pipe itself is obviously not a good thing. And I do recognize that. I don't want to dismiss that at all. Here's my concern, and it's twofold on this report and moving forward with this bypass in the condition that it is. City staff, as well as our contractor, went through many, I don't know how many now, I'd have to reread the report, let's say three iterations, and none of them seem to be feasible, and I respect that. Here's the challenge. The lift station that we're talking about to do the sanitary lining is in the industrial park, or some may call it the business park. The bypass is utilized, or because you need to shut down that force main to do the sanitary lining, the bypass is, instead of following the current line of the sanitary line from that lift station, is coming into the residential area, and most of the sanitary line is not being put underground. So for 4 months, you're going to have a sanitary line above ground along North York in the right-of-way and behind a whole bunch of residential homes along the ComEd right-of-way. So that's one of the issues that I have, is that having a sanitary line, and I understand the cost aspect, right? That's the cheaper way to do it. It's a temporary line, and that makes sense from a dollars and cents perspective. But the aesthetics of that, the disturbance of the residential neighborhood, I'm obviously not in favor of that alternative. When speaking with staff, I asked them in regards to what are the other alternatives. Not a civil engineer, but I was actually even making some suggestions on what could be done. And they provided the information that they had on hand earlier today on why that wouldn't work. One of my alternatives was to try to keep that bypass, if it's going to be above ground, to keep it in the industrial park instead of having it along North York. And the rationale behind that is because there would be additional possible, not confirmed, but possible utility conflicts, as well as many more driveways than on North York. So I don't like the aesthetics. I don't like where it's going. I don't like the disruption to a residential neighborhood to accomplish this. I understand, according to staff, that there has been issues with this sanitary line, force main, and that's why we are moving forward with lining it. The other piece on why I'm not in favor of this report is how we're paying for it. And I know that I mentioned this in previous budget discussions, and I'll mention it here. I'm not a fan of utilizing a TIF to continue to pay for essentially capital projects. We need to pay, in my opinion, in my perspective, my philosophy, to pay for capital projects from the Capital Improvement Fund. That's the reason why it's there. Me personally, this is my TIF on North York. I would love to see some additional projects happening in this TIF, but really, from a financial perspective, we can't even pursue it or even consider it because we've been utilizing this TIF and other TIFs, I'm not only saying this TIF, but TIF funds to do capital improvement projects. Yes, this is only $400,000+, but the principle or the philosophy behind utilizing TIF funds for this as well, not only for the main project for this, but for this bypass as well, is something I'm not for. Therefore, I will not be supporting this report as written.
Additional discussion? Alderman Irby.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Chair, and thank you, Alderman Bram. While we were in discussion on this, I was having a hard time with it. I think we all were having a hard time with it. And I think we spent a lot of time looking at it and deliberating. I mean, it was we were scratching and pulling for whatever we could do to try to find some alternatives. And I appreciate everybody's discussion. I think we did a great job. The city manager said if possible we could just cut our losses on this vendor and we could go with another vendor, if I remember correctly, and that was going to be costly. I think, what are we at, 400,000 is what we're talking tonight's report. And so we looked even alternatives of let's just scrap the vendor and let's start over and try something otherwise. And that was going to even cost more, we thought. That might even get up in a $1 million number, but we don't know. That's reading the tea leaves. But we did discuss that, and it was a tough one. And so I will be supporting the report, but it's something we really didn't want to have to do. This isn't something that we wanted to put our signature on, but we really didn't have a choice. We got to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Alderman Brennan.
So just a point of clarification, maybe I'm missing it in the report, Chair, but this is a temporary bypass for, and how long? I don't.
4 months.
4 months. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Clerk Malone? Call the roll.
Nardini.
Aye.
Bastido.
Aye.
Irby.
Aye.
Brennan.
Aye.
Remus, absent. Bellinger.
Aye.
Shanko.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Graham.
No.
Jensen.
Aye.
Pluto, absent. Baker.
Aye.
Nudira.
Aye.
Virgil.
Aye.
11 ayes, 1 nay, 2 absent.
11 ayes, 1 nay, 2 absent, 7.1 passes. Move on to reports and recommendations of appointed elected officials. Mayor Levin. First of all, thanks to the fire department staff for the open house yesterday. It was a wonderful event, great weather, had the helicopter landing there. Their efforts help educate our community to the fire prevention efforts that we have. Also, thanks to the Public Arts Commission, we had the ribbon cutting for the new mural on the Adelaide parking deck. So if you haven't seen it, I hope you'll stop by there. People keep telling me to mention that Elmhurst's own Fred Ramsdell won the Nobel Peace Prize, but we can't determine if he went to York or not. At least we know he was born here. So when one of you figures out if he did or not, let me know. And lastly, kind of interesting is I received a call from former Alderman Deuter, now State Representative Deuter, to let us know that out of a $400 million fund that was put aside by the General Assembly at the end of 2024, I believe, we were awarded a $1.3 million grant, which will fund the over 83, you like this one, bridge, which I think that closes our gap. So if it's not fully funded by grants now, it's pretty darn close. So that was good news and not necessarily expected news. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 things tonight. Next week's committee meetings are moved to Tuesday to observe the federal holiday. And then the zoning ordinance update, there's a public hearing scheduled for October 28th at 7 p.m. in this room. The draft is available at elmhurstzoning.com. Again, that's elmhurstzoning.com. Draft report on the changes to the city's zoning code. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Any other reports? All right, Alderman Bram.
I don't know if it's necessarily a report, but I'll throw it under here. I'd just like to make a request. One of the requests I've already, I think, contacted our Director of Public Works. There's 2 items that I think, at least that are impacting my area and other areas of town, one of which we talked last council meeting briefly. Alderman Baker kind of gave an update on O'Hare noise, O'Hare traffic, et cetera. I was wanting to make a request to see if we can get FAA, CDA to come out to one of our meetings and kind of speak about what's going on, what's the latest. I know that I've received an email or 2 from residents outside of my ward, further south. So it seems like it's impacting more and more people by the week. The other request, if I may, is to also have someone, and I don't know if it's Cook County Highway Commission or who, because I quite honestly can't get a hold of who is running the project, but the I will name almost every street that it impacts. North Avenue, 290, 294, 88 construction. Especially, the repercussion of that construction causing overflow, cut-through traffic, et cetera, throughout our neighborhoods in the city. If we can have someone at the very least come and speak to the aldermen that are concerned about it and are impacted directly, or even better yet, so the public can hear about what's going on, come to a city council meeting for that as well. Thank you.
We did have, I think, City Manager, you got us an update on the construction, because at the beginning of the summer, we were having significant impact on particularly that area, your ward. So if you can update that, and Alderman Baker, if you want to update on the ONCC next meeting, see, we'll start there. All right, additional reports. We're on to other business. Is there any other business to be brought before the council? Seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Brennan with a motion, Alderman Schenkel with a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any adjourned say nay. We are adjourned. Oh, so I think we get the ayes? Yeah. That's it. All right. Good. We're going to take a short break because we're going to set up for Committee of the Whole. So let's take about 5 minutes and we will reconvene.